Okay, hopefully this is recording. Let's see. I wrote this one. This is one that's written out. It used to be on one of my old websites, and I called it Taking It to the Streets. TAK-ING. People sometimes ask me, when did I start performing? Well, performing started very early, but making money performing took a little while, but not too long. Uh, for it was only 4 years later, after my family lost me in a shopping mall at the age of 4, only to find me out front of the mall with a crowd around me, laughing as I performed Beatles songs singing the wrong words. It's been a hard day's night, I've been working like a log. It's been a hard day's night, I should be sleeping like a dog. Yeah, like that. That I started voice talent work that showed up on Sesame Street and several other national commercials. However, it would take another 10 years after that Beatle song performance that I showed up in London and busked street performed for my first time at the age of 14. My family had gone on a trip to England in December 1975. My dad had a meeting over there for an animation job he was working on and took us along for the experience. He was doing some work with, what's his name? The guy that did the animation for the Monty Python Flying Circus stuff. So he took us along for the experience. As like any trip, I always took along my fiddle. I've been playing it since I was 10, and I never missed a day of practice, even when we went on vacation. In fact, I never missed a chance to perform with it, whether it was for the family, and I have a big family. Mom came from a family of 18 children. Our Christmas parties at my grandmother's house were always a good place to perform, or at school. And my classmates were always pleading with our teachers to let TAC play. Probably not so much that they loved my shows, as much as it was more fun than the actual classes. So I flew into England with my fiddle, flung over my shoulder. We traveled quite a bit around England, but I loved London best. It was a real city, unlike LA where I grew up, which is just big. In my mind, not a real city. Now, London, that was a city. We stayed right off of Knightsbridge near Hyde Park. Everything about the hotel, the park, the buses, the subway, everything I loved. One morning, I woke up before my parents and older sister did. I was sharing a room with my older sister and my parents. They had a separate room. And I quietly left the room and headed down to have breakfast in the hotel restaurant, thinking that they would wake up and come down soon. But they didn't come. They must have really been tired. So I headed out for a walk. After leaving a note that said, "Good morning. I already had breakfast. I'm going for a walk in Hyde Park. See you when you get up. TAC." I walked around the lake in the park and spotted two people in the distance playing conga drums under a tree. The last couple days I had seen buskers performing on Knightsbridge, for it was Christmas time, and that was something common for that time of year, or so we were told. So I got an idea, and I headed back to the hotel to get my fiddle. My family was still fast asleep, so again, I snuck out, careful not to wake them, leaving behind only the original note that I had left on the desk. When I returned to the park, the drum players were gone, and I was the only one in the park with an instrument. I picked a park bench in front of the lake to sit on, opened my case, set it to the left side of the bench, and began to play. I remember it being cold as the wind blowing off the lake made my fingers turn near purple. But people were stopping and listening, taking photos, and putting money in my open fiddle case. This was the first time that I was making money, doing something that I love doing. From something that I completely made happen. Not something like winning a fiddle contest or being in a commercial. I had made this happen. I had changed the quiet atmosphere of the winter morning into something more festive. It was cold, but I kept playing. After all, there were people to entertain. So, my purple fingers played on. And now, walking in the park, my family came across me. Again, 10 years after finding me outside of a shopping mall singing Beatles songs. Smiling people taking my photo and giving me money. My dad, like me, never without my fiddle, he always had his camera. He took a few photos while my mom and older sister watched from a nearby park bench. Then he walked over and placed the largest tip I had received that day in my case, £1. The first paper note I was ever to make street performing came from my own father. And strangely enough, later as I counted the money, found an American dime among the coins. They must have thought that an American dime would have made my day. But then again, who knows? It might have been my dad. But as I came to learn, it's not always the amount that counts. As still to this day, I remember both those tips. I would say that day was my first day that led me to do what I do now.